Now I try to start off every day. This is going to be one of the days that's going to get pretty complicated very soon because I have a lot of things. I've got the clear on the decals, but I need Mark here to set the decals in place and pick the size that he wants to use. So I really can't do that. I'm recovering from having the flu or something. These parts are ready for Mark to pick up next time he's here. These are absolutely beautiful. The Bimota parts are going to be ready to be buffed pretty soon. They're nice. That's drying up nice. The side fairing, I have one little repair on there. I forget which one. And these parts, so what I try to do, the reason I'm showing this, these are the parts that were difficult. What I'm trying to show is that every day, if I play my cards right and I plan this all out, I get a lot of stuff done in one day. Now, I'm not sure my friends and people that bother to watch these videos can appreciate that having this much stuff in the shop all at one time, if you're not efficient, the boat's going to sink. You're going down. So I try to really, one of the things from the videos that you can pick up is how I would evaluate these various things. Now, the first thing is always, what can I do to get some paint drying? Well, here's one thing I can take, and this is something I want to do. I want to put a stripe, an airbrush stripe around the white number plates and around the tail section. So I can do that. That can be drying while I'm doing something else. I really can't do that till I get Mark over here for a night. And then while that's drying, I could work on the Bimota stuff. And maybe by that time in the afternoon, it'll be warm enough outside to shoot some clear. But again, I do need Mark here before I can move on certain parts of the project. And well, when I look at some of the parts on this, they have really come out nice. I also got Glenn's gas cap here, and I was going to strip that down, wire brush it down, clean it all up, paint that black. But I guess the first thing is I'll get started on the green parts here. I can get that airbrush job done today. Now after laying this out, I wanted to make sure we have enough room for the numbers. So we do have about a 1/4 inch border to play with here. So the easiest way, see, I wanted to make sure I don't paint myself into a corner here where I got to get smaller numbers. So I want to get some 1/4 inch tape, and this is a time I can use up some of this old tape, of which we have plenty. I can lay out my stripe in 1/4 inch tape, put the new tape around the edge, and then pull this tape up and throw it away. And I'll just do this, I don't know, let's see if we can, so I can get a better angle on this, I'm not sure. Steven Spielberg here. But it's the same technique that we always use, nothing really changes. We'll do a similar thing to the seat, of course. And that's why I do save the tape. I shouldn't. There's always some use for it. But believe me, if you take 2 or 3 year old tape and start masking these lines off, it can get ugly. It gets ugly in a hurry. Let's see if we can just, you could do this. You could try to cut corners and maybe salvage, I should say, one side of this and just paint right on top of one edge. But in this case, we know Glenn is a very concerned consumer. I don't want him going down the track at 180 miles an hour waving to the people and that the stripe is crooked. But anyway, this is what we're going to do for, well, basically the gas tank too, which we haven't decided on. We're going to pretty much come up with some paint outline. Let's get this. Now, what this is where this is will now be, this will officially be the stripe. And I was thinking what would be nice about having this outline, and Turbo Steve concurred, would be to have it in kind of a dark blue, which is what Kawasaki used to do. And I just happen to have a little bit of the really dark metallic blue. I'm sure Glenn will love it. Anyway, that's where now what I'm going to do is put tape around both edges, get it exactly how I want, and then pull this tape up. This tape is just on there to be a pattern. Now once that's all laid out, and because it's an airbrush, I don't have to cover the whole thing up. Now just taking out the tape, what I call the sacrificial tape. Now, whenever I'm using an airbrush, it's going to be impossible to do this outside today. I'm going to have to do it in the back room, which is not a great choice, but for this small amount, it'll just have to do, because the wind is howling out there. And when it's really howling and you're trying to use an airbrush, not happening. So you can pretty much see, this is what we wind up with, is that's going to be our stripe right there. Now I'm just trying to figure something out here. I'm going to backmask this a little bit differently. Because this is all going to be white. We don't have to worry about the number placement. That'll work its way out. Maybe, actually I could do it another way. Actually this side, it won't matter because I have plenty of real estate. Actually, so what I'm going to do here is just a little bit different. On this side, I'll use this tape edge. So let me lay out the tape that we're going to throw away, just as an example. We can use that one edge, because this side I'm not worried about running out of real estate. So when I actually get, to lay this out, I only have to lay one side out. This can stay as this part of the edge. And that'll just save a little bit of backmasking by doing that, because I'd like to get that stripe on both parts, and then while that's drying, I can work on the Aprilla. The Bimota. There is no Aprilla, not yet. Sometimes it can be a little annoying to, by the time you get the airbrush set up, because the advantage of doing it this way, there's not a lot of overspray. You can be really detail oriented. Get the stripes right where you want them. And it is nice to use an airbrush. To me, it's a fun tool to use. Gives you a lot of control of the paint. You really have infinite control, in fact. And there's really a real minimum of overspray, so, which is obviously to our advantage. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to move this around. And it's really, well, if the wind wasn't blowing so bad, I would take a chance doing this outside, but if you try to do this when the wind is blowing, there's no advantage to using an airbrush. And I think you can see that you can pretty much get the paint right where you want it. Also, another thing, you don't get a lot of paint buildup around the edges with an airbrush, which is another, means you don't need as much clear to bury it, which is another nice thing. And if you do happen to get a little overspray, some 2500 sandpaper and water usually will take it off, because it's a very light overspray. It's not hard. Sometimes you can just wipe it off with a paper towel. And that's it. We'll do the rest of the striping, and then that part, once it's dry, we can pull up the tape and see what we got. Now for the moment of truth that I always love. Once this paint tacks out, I think what I'll do here is just pull up the back masking first and get rid of this. I think Glenn's going to be happy when he sees this. This color really pops, boy. Good thing Glenn's still a teenager at heart. Aren't we all a teenager at heart? And the blue just really sets a nice edge to that. It should be really nice when this is done. It should be a real nice combination. And by the way, the blue has definitely has some metallic in it. Oh yeah, that's going to look nice. Now once this dries, it would be nice if, and I'm trying to figure out how to use this day to my advantage, get a coat of clear on this if I could, just to seal it all up. But the problem is I'm dealing with a lot of wind. Everything else is good, but when the wind is blowing, it's just very difficult to get that clear on without a lot of dust in it. But what it'll mean is Glenn will just get some extra exercise when he wet sands and buffs it out. Anyway, it looks like the tape lines, I guess you can see it, I don't have to tell you. The tape lines are going to be fine. I'll get the rest of this back masking off camera. And maybe later in the day it'll calm down, I don't know. But Glenn, I hope you're really liking that. Wow. As I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that's going to look really nice. Now I'm hoping that wind is going to calm down, because I'd really like to get a coat of clear on this. And then obviously the next thing is just to pull up the back masking on this, see if there's any spots need to be touched up, and there always are. Fender's already got clear on it, but it'd be nice to end this day with having some clear on this. That would just be a free bonus. I think Glenn's really going to like that. I'm really happy with the way this is coming out. Now, it looks like the wind is calming down out there, so it's making me think later today I'm going to be able to get some clear on these parts. But before I can do anything with this part, we've got to resolve the rest of these decals. So what I did, I started to figure out, I guess the next thing that would make sense is, I have the dimensions for these EXUP. Now, Vlad, he really went crazy getting these right. So I took the dimensions where the old ones were, laid it out in tape, and that's going to hopefully allow me to get it real accurate to where it was. And to be honest, most of the bikes I've done have had a real minimum of decaling, so this is really like the most decals I've ever put on. But the customer is always right. The Bimota owner is always right. Anyway, we're coming down to hopefully the final stretch on this Bimota project, which I think Vlad will be very happy with when he actually physically takes possession of it. Get that right on the money. Oh my God. Vlad had these decals done that I know of 4 times. And he probably had them more, because I heard him cursing in Russian at the guy. So I know he really wants these. What would really be mean is I'd take this and put EPUX or something and not tell him. Nah, we don't do that. We don't need that much humor in our life. Anyways, these are going to be nice. Now what's been happening here is toward the end of every day, it really does calm down a little bit when we have these terribly windy days. And you can't record when it's windy out, because of our lovely, we don't have a wind mic on our camera. You know, Steven Spielberg doesn't really have the latest and greatest equipment here. Boy, if that isn't perfect. Vlad, I hope you're happy, baby. And it's funny, I have all the envelopes that he had when the guy sent him the wrong decals 4 different times. They were too long, they were too short. Oy, oy, oy. I think we got it. I think we got it, Vlad. We got it. We got it.
Well, what's happened is the wind hasn't totally come down, but it's got at least bearable. Now this is a part that's really difficult to paint because it's difficult to hold. And you can see the wind is still blowing real nice. Lovely. But I'm sure we'll get some painting happening. Just, boy oh boy, just can't. I try to get downwind, but it doesn't always work. Here we go. You know, wind blowing that stuff away. Wow. Absolutely battle conditions here. But this ought to really be fun. Whoa! Stuff blowing away here. You always got to be ready to catch the part if it starts blowing away. Oh, definitely stop blowing. It's so nice. Don't blow away.
Well, this day ends. I'm looking around and I'm thinking Glenn and Vlad both going to be some happy campers here. Oh yeah, that's drying up nice. Vlad's stuff is this Bimota. If there's a better looking Bimota in the world, I'd like to see a picture of it. That's going to be just awesome when it's done. But it's nice to know we end the day with some success, even though we fought the wind gods all day. I think we won. Maybe we didn't, I don't know, but anyway, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining our great adventures.